For 2 decades, Marshal Matt Dillon held Dodge City together with a quiet, steady authority. Through James Arness, Gunsmoke found its backbone, the one constant presence every single storyline depended on. But in his final episode, that untouchable image doesn't just shift, it completely breaks. The man who once felt invincible suddenly looks worn down, almost pushed to the margins of his own universe. It is that abrupt, jarring change that makes the final chapter so difficult to sit through. What exactly happened in that final appearance, and why did it leave millions of fans deeply unsettled long after the screen went black? Welcome back to Royal Time of Hollywood. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the final, unceremonious days of Dodge City, exploring the incredible life of James Arness, and uncovering why Gunsmoke's ending felt like a betrayal to classic television history. The real Matt Dillon, a life forged in true hardship. To a generation raised on westerns, James Arness didn't just play a frontier lawman. He defined one. Standing an imposing 6 feet 7 inches and speaking with a slow, deliberate gravity, he was the ultimate anchor of American primetime television. Yet, the steady mountain of a man audiences saw on screen was forged through intense real-world pain and humility. Born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to a family of Norwegian and German roots, Arness grew up alongside his younger brother, who would later find his own Hollywood fame as Peter Graves. School never caught James's interest. He was a restless soul who worked as a jewelry courier, a railway boxcar loader, and a logger in Idaho. In March 1943, his life shifted violently when he was drafted into the U.S. Army. During the chaotic Anzio landings in Italy in 1944, his towering height proved perilous. He was ordered off the landing craft first to gauge the water's depth, which instantly rose to his waist. Shortly after, a severe, life-altering wound to his right leg took him out of combat. Arness spent a long, agonizing year undergoing surgeries in an Iowa military hospital, ultimately earning the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. The physical trauma of that injury never truly left him. For the rest of his life, including his 20 years on Gunsmoke, the sharp pain would routinely flare up during brutal, exhausting days on horseback. The John Wayne connection and the rise of a giant. After receiving an honorable discharge in 1945, Arness began his entertainment journey as a radio announcer in Minneapolis. Driven by a quiet ambition, he hitchhiked all the way to Hollywood, where RKO Pictures eventually altered his family name from Arness to Arness. He slowly built a resume, appearing in westerns and even stepping into science fiction as the titular creature in The Thing from Another World, 1951. Along the way, he formed a deep, lifelong friendship with John Wayne. Contrary to popular Hollywood myth, John Wayne was never officially offered the role of Matt Dillon only to turn it down. Instead, Wayne did something much more impactful. He enthusiastically recommended Arness for the part. Wayne believed so fiercely in his friend's potential that he personally filmed a special prologue for the very first episode in 1955, introducing Arness to the nation. Arness completely transformed himself for the role. He darkened his naturally blonde hair, trained extensively with Hollywood gun experts, and crafted a performance built on silence, posture, and intense restraint. The formula was historic. Gunsmoke ran for an unprecedented 20 seasons, logging its place as the longest-running primetime medical or dramatic series of its era, with Matt Dillon remaining the unyielding heart of every single season. Friction and brotherhood behind the scenes. On screen, Dodge City felt like an unbreakable family, but the dynamics behind the camera required a harsh adjustment period. When production began, veteran actor Milburn Stone, Doc Adams, was openly skeptical of Arness's acting experience, bluntly warning the young star that he wasn't there to babysit anyone after Arness showed up late to set. During early rehearsals, Arness's nervous habit of whistling and making distracting noises drove the disciplined Stone to a furious, full-force outburst in front of the entire crew. Arness, recognizing his own greenness, stood there silently, took the dressing down with complete humility, and instantly tightened his focus. That raw honesty completely won Stone over. Over the next 2 decades, the cast, including Amanda Blake, Miss Kitty, and Ken Curtis, Festus, became fiercely protective of one another. When a young rogue producer later tried to bully Milburn Stone off the set during a creative dispute, Arness immediately stepped in, drawing a hard line in the sand. "If it were me, I would listen to Stone because that's what we always do. And it has never led us wrong." If you're enjoying this video, make sure to check out the other stories and shocking updates on our channel. We've covered many incredible celebrity journeys, tragic endings, and untold Hollywood secrets that you don't want to miss. Binge watch our previous videos to discover more surprising facts, emotional stories, and where your favorite stars are today. Your support helps us bring you more powerful content like this, so don't forget to explore, watch more, and stay tuned for the next video. The finale that wasn't. Why the sharecroppers stings. By 1975, the television landscape was undergoing a ruthless corporate shift known today as the rural purge. Networks completely turned their backs on traditional, country-style storytelling, canceling hit shows like Green Acres and the Beverly Hillbillies to court a younger, more urban demographic with gritty, modern programs like MASH and All in the Family. Because of this sudden shift, CBS abruptly pulled the plug on Gunsmoke with absolutely zero warning to the cast or crew. They had already settled into the rhythm of planning the next season when the axe fell. Consequently, Season 20's final episode, The Sharecroppers, which aired in March 1975, was never written or filmed as a series finale. It was just a standard, low-stakes mid-season episode. Fans tuning in for James Arness's final appearance as Marshal Matt Dillon expected a grand and reflective farewell, one last adventure that honored the heart and soul of Dodge City. Instead, The Sharecroppers delivered a lighthearted, self-contained story focused almost entirely on Festus Hagen. Rather than a high-stakes showdown or an emotional send-off for the show's legendary characters, the episode revolved around a relatively minor dispute involving a misplaced mule and an accidental injury. To many longtime viewers, the biggest disappointment was the absence of meaningful closure for beloved figures such as Doc Adams and Kitty Russell, whose presence barely registered before they quietly faded from the story. What should have felt like the end of an era instead came across as an ordinary episode, making James Arness's final Gunsmoke appearance surprisingly difficult for devoted fans to watch. Watching the towering icon of Matt Dillon essentially pushed to the sidelines of his own series is deeply uncomfortable. The episode completely lacks the gravity, the reflection, and the emotional weight that 20 years of loyal viewership earned. It wasn't a grand sunset for an American legend. It was a sudden, quiet lockout. While Arness would eventually return to provide true closure via a series of made-for-TV movies between 1987 and 1994, the abrupt television broadcast ending of 1975 remains a painful scar for classic TV enthusiasts. It stands as a stark reminder of an era where network balance sheets mattered far more than cinematic dignity. What is your all-time favorite Gunsmoke memory? Do you think the network's abrupt cancellation ruined the show's massive legacy, or do you view the casual final episode as a uniquely quiet goodbye? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you loved this deep dive into classic television history, don't forget to like this video, share it with a fellow Western fan, and subscribe to Royal Time of Hollywood.